So hi everyone, welcome. My name is Deborah Swerdlow. I am a deputy director on the state campaigns team. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and basically this is exactly what it says in the title. This is Outreach and Campaigns Meetup. So you've got a lot of folks from the CBPP State Campaigns Team. You've got some other folks who will introduce themselves who are your fellow outreach and campaign staffers in the network. And hopefully you are here because you identify as an outreach and campaign staffer, which can mean a variety of things. Maybe that is your full-time job. You are a campaigns person, you are an organizer, you are a partner engagement, coalition manager, legislative advocate, whatever it is, or maybe it's a part of your job, but you still felt called to join us, in which case we welcome you as well. So this is going to be a really informal session, honestly, for us just to get to know each other. And hopefully you walk away feeling a little bit less isolated, both in this virtual new staff training experience, but also in your work. As you know that there are other people doing similar work to you spread out across the country. And hopefully also you walk away feeling like you have more connections with your peers and with us at CBPP. So I'm going to turn things over to Louisa Warren, who is the director of our state campaigns team, just to welcome you guys a little bit more. And then we're just going to do an extended period of introductions where we get to know everyone.
Thank you, Deborah. So hi, everybody. So delighted to be with you virtually. I so wish that we could gather in person. Our new staff trainings every year have been an opportunity for us to grab a drink with new people and go out to dinner and build relationships. And we are all obviously doing that in this newer world that I guess we're supposed to be adapted to 6 months in, but still feels really, really weird. But we're gonna try to create some element of community in this space virtually. And if that doesn't work, just go back to DJ Ome and enjoy yourself. I wanna offer just a huge welcome. You are, by virtue of being a part of this new staff training, you are joining a network of people all around the country, as your colleagues like Davante and Amanda can attest, are doing work like you. They're doing really hard, challenging work in hard, challenging times. They're thinking about how to deploy cutting edge voter contact tools, how to deploy cutting edge digital tools, how to dust off old fashioned ways of building relationships with people, the old school, long-term way that help us build the powerful partnerships that build power in the long term and result in the policy victories we want to see as well, that create better communities all around us and better states. And so this is a pretty unique community you're joining, and we are delighted to have you be a part of it. We exist here on this team at the Center on Budget. I have the privilege of leading a team of 8 amazing staff whose job it is to support you all in doing your work to drive progressive state level policy change, and sometimes also at the federal level to push for progressive policy change that makes people's lives better. And our whole team, our job is to support you. We are your cheerleaders, your spirit guides if that's helpful, your therapists sometimes if you need that. And my colleagues will introduce themselves and their backgrounds that they come from. But sometimes I hear people say, like, I don't want to bother you, or like, do you have time to set up, a time to chat and want to pick your brain, or like, we're looking for an example of another state that's done A, B, and C, and like literally our job is to work with you all. So that's the high level. We're so delighted to meet all of you. And we're going to talk in other spaces about, in more in-depth, the kinds of things that we can hook you up with in terms of tools and trainings and supports. But big picture level, when we think about what the state campaigns world of us and you all can bring to the table, there's a few different buckets that I just wanted to lay out. And they fall into basically the bread and butter of our work, which is sort of coalitions and partnerships. For a long time, we have been building relationships with grassroots organizations, with people with lived experience, with other policy advocacy voices, with policymakers, with the media, to build more power and build the will for our policy goals and the narrative changes that we want to see, and ultimately the different outcomes that we want to see in our country. And so one of the buckets of supports and trainings that we offer is just around how to do coalitions and partnerships work. And there's a lot more to say under that mantle, but we have gone out to states in pre-COVID eras and done visits to help folks think through as a thought partner how to reorient, blow up, build a new different coalitions and partnerships models. So that's a big focus of our work. Another big focus of our work is really over the last few years, we've built out a really badass team of people who really know a lot about voter contact strategies from A to Z. And Bernie and our colleague Jonathan and Ziamata are going to talk about that more in depth in a session tomorrow. So you can learn more about that and what we have to offer, both in terms of the staff and consultant supports that we have on deck, but also through our partnership with something called the Movement Cooperative. And then we also do coaching, as Davante can attest, as Alicia can attest, around what it looks like to just hire, retain, and support outreach and campaign staffers. So this is something we have documents that help people think through job descriptions if you want to build out your team. We've done a lot of coaching over the years to people like you in your organizations who might be the first of your kind in your organization. We also coach directors on how to think about outreach and campaign strategies. So there's sort of that kind of organizational health coaching and training that we offer. And we do a lot with our colleagues who specialize in communications around messaging and narrative development that's closely related to the voter contact strategies. So that is a super quick and dirty overview of what we can do for you. Just ask. And the other thing that we do is also connect you all. So, you know, we all have different backgrounds of working in advocacy and organizing and campaigns, but you all have the deepest, richest knowledge of what it is like day to day to do your work. And so one of the other things that we spend a lot of time on is creating spaces and offering connections for you all to connect with peers around the country. So with further ado, I think I'm going to toss it back to Deborah, because we are really excited to hear more about who you all are and what you're up to. So thank you all for joining us. Really excited to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you, Louisa. So yeah, the rest of this time is really going to be everybody else talking. So would love to just hear who we have on the call. I'm going to put this in the chat too, but if you could introduce yourself, and you're going to share your name and your preferred pronouns, which you can also put in your Ring Central name if you want, your organization, and tell us your role. So not your job title, because I think, as we all know, sometimes your job title is like pretty, but it might be like 7 words and it doesn't actually tell us what you do. So just like, you know, say in a sentence like what your role is, what you do with your time, your favorite part of your work. And if you are new to the role, I know we've got a couple of people who are on like day 1, day 2, day 0, something like that. You can just tell us what you're looking forward to or what you're excited about. And finally, and again, I'm putting this in the chat, so you do not have to remember all of this, something that you would love help with. So it could be a challenge, something that you want some technical assistance or peer learning around, like a question that you have for your peers. And so those are all the things: your name and pronouns, organization and your role, favorite part of what you do, or if you're really new, what is something that you're excited about or looking forward to, and then one thing you want help with. And if we were doing this in person, we'd probably all be seated around like a conference room table or a circle or something. And so it could just easily go to the next person. I'm going to attempt to have us popcorn this. So I'm going to go, and then I'm going to just pass it to somebody that I see on the screen. And if you feel very strongly about this getting passed to you, you can like wave your hands or do a dance or something like that. But otherwise, you should just pick a person on the screen and try to pass it to them. And we're going to see if this works. So again, my name is Deborah. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I work at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, and my role is primarily to work with state groups to help them engage on federal policy issues and issue campaigns. My favorite part of the job is talking to all of you. I'm an extrovert. And so even in this virtual environment, I love just connecting with different people all across the country. Oh, and if you're center staff, you don't have to answer the thing. That's one thing that you would love help with. Although, I don't know, if you do want help with something, you should still like share that with someone. But if you're center staff, you can skip that last one. So with that, I am going to popcorn this to Danny.
I have a feeling it would be me since you're my only familiar face. Hi, Deborah. I'm Danny Guerrero. I work at Every Texan. We're based in Austin, Texas. It was formerly the Center for Public Policy Priorities, which is a mouthful. So I'm kind of grateful for that rebrand right as I joined. I believe that's the second. I appreciate you saying to describe our role instead of our title. I'm the External Relations Coordinator. I work closely with the communications team, the External Relations team.
Danny, I think you might be frozen, or it's just me. If it's just me, no, it's not just me. Okay. All right. Danny, hopefully we will get you back soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to shift our popcorn over to, oh, wait, there you are.
Testing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Poor internet. I don't know at what point you lost me, but favorite part of my job is that it is so dynamic. I don't think anybody in the policy world has a day that looks the same. But my job in particular.
Oh no, we just.
So I don't get stuck. Oh, okay. Do you want to try someone else?
I don't know. Now we can hear you. It's so dynamic. No day in the policy world is the same. Let's see if you can finish strong and let your internet take you.
One thing I would love help with is we are trying to expand our audience with this rebrand and move past the policy sector and really tap into broader advocacy. So I really want to learn about some strategies that other groups with that same goal are doing.
Cool. Who do you want? Okay. Send it to somebody else.
I will go with Jane Adams.
Hi, Jane Adams from Alabama. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I work at Alabama Arise. What I actually do, so most of my work is on our Medicaid expansion campaign. In fact, that's like all of my work is working to expand Medicaid. I lead our statewide coalition. So day to day, that looks like making sure that we're following our campaign plan, getting the word out about Medicaid expansion, responding to press announcements and, things the governor announces or things that happen in DC. And then like just trying to get coalition partners and get them to commit to do stuff and, all that nonsense. But no, it's not nonsense. It's important work. But my favorite part of the job, I really like thinking about strategy, like, like thinking about tipping points, like what happens if we do this and this and this, is that enough? Like what's the fastest way, the shortest path, the quickest way to achieve what we want to achieve, and like what do we have to do that? one thing I love help with, yeah, I mean, so I'm curious, like this is a new kind of role for both my organization and for me, just in general. In my previous life, I was a lobbyist and, organized coalitions too, but I didn't have to do anything big like list building or anything like that. And other than just like legitimate, like our website and our petition sign-on forms and stuff like that, I'm curious, how best practices around list building and education and stuff like that, educating the public on issues. I'm dipping into the world of like Facebook ads and all that other stuff, but still, have a lot to learn around that. So, yep. And I will toss it over to Kristen.
Hi. My name is Kirsten Bailey, she, her. I am working with the Louisiana Budget Project. As for my job role, this is my first day, so we haven't super delved into, haven't super delved into my responsibilities, but as it has been explained to me, I will be helping to build and manage coalitions of nonprofits and advocates across the state to help push for legislation that brings about economic equity. Davante, let me know if I messed that one up. Doing my best, but my favorite part of my job so far has been hearing folks really digging into like internal strategies and structures for racial equity. I think that is really important and like a nice green flag for me on my first day, since that is something that I am very passionate about. And then one thing I'd love help with, I don't really have anything that I'm in need of assistance with right now, but I am like always really excited to learn more about policy and like what folks in the network have been up to and how best to partner and do what we're doing. And I will pass it over to, I'll give it to Davante because he's a familiar face for me.
Thank you. And I guess I'll say, as your first day, excited to have you on the team. So welcome. Hey everyone, my name is Davante. I pronounce he, him, his. I am at the Louisiana Budget Project, and I'm also here today as one of the co-chairs of the Outreach Advisory Committee. So that's part why I'm here. What is my role? Well, at the Budget Project, it was kind of like everything outreach until today. But primarily my job focuses on legislative engagement and then strategic partnership management. And then I kind of ran a bunch of our campaign tactics. So that's kind of like what I have done. What I have enjoyed the most about my role, one on OAC, is being able to just like always network and learn and engage with my fellow outreach staffers. So that's what I love about being the co-chair of OAC. And then what I love about being at the Louisiana Budget Project is really just kind of like the engagement. And Louisa knows I bother her all the time because we're always trying, because Louisiana is a very tough state, as you can imagine, to do anything in. So it's always just being able to be creative and find something new to do in a state that needs help the most. So I think I answered everything. Did I get everything, Deborah?
That was awesome. And since you have the mic, do you want to just say a few words about what the Outreach Advisory Committee is?
Sure. Yes. So the Outreach Advisory Committee is made up of outreach staffers, and we meet about monthly to help all of staffers across the network with different outreach tactics. We have put on trainings. When you get on the loop and you go to the outreach section, a lot of those documents have been made by our committee or the previous committees before. And so what we like to do is just welcome people into the network, use them as partners, and really engage with outreach members and just kind of have a place of shared learning. And I think one of the things we've really tackled past few years has been racial equity. We just recently announced to the entire loop our authentic community engagement principles that we're really excited about. And we are just trying to undo the traditional models of policy think shops to include everyday people and people power. So that's kind of what we do on OAC.
Cool. And Amanda and Megan are going to laugh at me because they heard me do this in my last session, but I swear I did not plant this plug. But we're doing a session on the community engagement principles tomorrow afternoon. So you can join that session if you want to talk more about the principles. And with that, Davante, I'll take the heat off you, and I'm going to tap Megan to go next.
Perfect.
Hey everyone, my name is Megan Marriott, she, her, hers. I am on day 2 with the Minnesota Budget Project. So right there with you, Kirsten, on being a newbie this week, and but glad to be a part of the training. And so my role is an engagement manager. And so it's a new position for the organization that essentially uses digital communications and other strategies to engage the public and stakeholders and other folks, around the policies that they're working on, which is mostly around like fiscal policy. And so something I'm excited about is to continue to network and build relationships. Even just being, in this training for a few hours, it's really cool to see just the leaders that are a part of this network, just, folks with so much knowledge and just authenticity. And so I'm just excited to, again, network and build relationships and learn from you all. And something I want help with, I guess would be kind of that content around like fiscal policy. I have a lot of reading to do and a lot of learning to do. So if anyone has resources or a particular article or book or recommendations around that, I'd love if you could shoot them my way. Thanks.
All right. And Megan, you want to tap someone to go next?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Rhonda?
Hi, everybody. My name is Rhonda. I use she, her pronouns. So I'm at the West Virginia Center for Budget and Policy, and I just started yesterday. So my title is Health Policy Analyst, but as far as my role goes, I'm going to be working on expanding Medicaid and CHIP through administrative policy. West Virginia has already expanded Medicaid, but just like increasing access to those programs. And yeah, just like helping with that, and then also potentially helping with some of our environmental coalitions that have been recently built as well. One thing I'm really looking forward to in this role is, the core part of this job which is expanding Medicaid, access to Medicaid. I'm really passionate about healthcare, and I think it should be accessible to everyone. So I'm excited to lead the charge on that in my organization. And then something that I would love help with, I don't know yet. I haven't really gotten my feet wet yet. My project doesn't actually start until October 1st. So I think once I have started working on that, I'll have a clearer idea of the areas in which I need help. But I'm excited to meet you all. So yeah. And I will pass it along to David.
Okay. I'm David Schubeck. I work at CBPP. I'm an SFP. My role, so the main things I work on are I do a lot of data work, so pulling lists, doing counts, doing some reporting work on the programs, on the voter contact programs that we run. I work a lot on our efforts to try to counter this mostly conservative effort to call a second constitutional convention, which is some of you will work on, probably a lot of you will not really hear that much about it, but I work a lot on that. And then various other things like running tracking programs, and I work with our interns. My favorite part of my job, I really like the data stuff. I really like pulling lists and doing counts. I think that's a lot of fun. I only just started learning about it probably a little over a year ago now. And it's been a lot of fun. And one thing I'd like help with, I'm just going to skip that one for now. There's too many things I can decide.
Center staff can skip that one.
Yeah. I will pass it to Christy. Have you gone yet?
No, not yet. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Aloha from Honolulu, Hawaii. My name's Christy McPherson, her, hers, she. And I'm kind of the organizer for Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice. I just started in December, but I've been doing community organizing for a while. And what I love most about that is building leaders in our community. I think that's really important, and it's something I just really enjoy. We have a lot going on here in Hawaii. We have a high unemployment rate now because of COVID, a lot of safety net issues, not spending CARES dollars. It's really, things are looking pretty dire here for the next 5 to 10 years. We were kind of getting back up out of a recession, and now we're back in the saddle again. So anyway, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm just really curious and excited to hear what you guys are doing and the good work you're doing on the continent, and hopefully we can learn from that and use that. And I'm also excited about working on our Native Hawaiian Equity Project and building new leaders in the Native Hawaiian community. So really excited about that. Thank you.
All right, how about Emily, after you take the drink of water? Sorry that I caught you right as you were raising your water to your lips. Oh, and then I think just as you unmuted, you froze. Okay, let's try Amanda, and then we'll come back to Emily.
Hello, my Amanda Hollowell. My pronouns are she, her, and y'all. I work for Georgia Budget and Policy Institute. I'm the Director of Strategic Campaigns, or as my comms people call me, as a Director of Chaos and Mischief Maker. It's a growing relationship. No, we love each other. I think the favorite part of my job is to actually participate in real PAR development now, which is like where you're actually partnering with the community as y'all talk about y'all research and policy, finding that community voice, understanding that we can actively say now as an organization that we are on a 2-track advocacy plan, which is we do an inside game with our analysts and poly folks. Analysts and budget folks and all those good people, and then we actually have an outside game, and that is under me I'm over the umbrella of our People Power Prosperity campaign, with 3 intentional partners that are grassroots orgs. We've also decided as we grow as an org, because we are really growing, there'll be an outreach manager, but I'll be actually supervising most of our campaigns and coalitions to make sure they're still staying in line and they don't go dormant. Because in this moment with COVID and with everything, because Georgia loves being #1 at bad things, our analysts are stretched pretty thin. And so it just made more sense to add that extra support for them, so we understand that we actually are engaging the community in an intentional way. I think, so that's the fun part, right? Is that kind of like that vertical strategy, that rapid response that's in real time, and you can actually activate in a real moment the minute you hear something from an agency head or a department, and that kind of thing. I think our latest win was we did PBT. They changed it on the website, and we just happened to go check it. One of the analysts did, and we were like, why would you move up the date? and we got a lot of rigmarole from them. And they were like, oh, to protect or fraud. And it was like all the horrible excuses. And then finally it turned into, okay, we're going to make sure everyone still gets it. And this date is just to push it up, but the real date is September 25th. And we were like, thank you. But we went out into the community and told people immediately. And then they got scared because people started doing OR requests on that department. And that made them turn around and actually said they had to have an excuse. They had a whole Twitter and social media campaign 24 hours after 3 to 4 questions from 4 to 5 different partners. So that was like our latest win. I think one of the things I'm having a hard time with, and I can't wait to hear other groups talk about this, creative fatigue and my strategy. Whew. When you take out that being physical and being present, and you're asking people to show up in intentional ways, virtually, it's hard. And even like IVE, like integrated voter engagement campaigns, are feel overwhelmed because most of them had to go digital voter registration. So really understanding like how we're communicating that message and making voter contact and making people contact in a virtual world that's intentional. Also, how are y'all rising above the noise? Everyone is stretched thin. There's always a crisis. There's always something to answer to nationally, state, and locally. How are you still getting this message out there? That's it. I'll go back to eating my lunch.
That's great. Well, I think hopefully Emily can rejoin us soon, but otherwise I think we are down to folks who work at the center. So more of us are gonna, oh wait, Louisa, did I miss someone?
Heather, we didn't hear from you, right?
Heather is one of our new interns.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's so okay.
I just got back from a vacation yesterday, so I haven't even met the folks who just started. Heather, it's so good to meet you.
But Heather, would you like to introduce yourself? Because this is also the first time that I've been on a call with you because you just started yesterday.
Yeah, hi. I'm Heather. Heather Weigel. I am a new intern at the center. This is day 2 for me. Working virtually out of Ypsilanti, Michigan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm just really excited to dip my toes in the water of policy. I have a lot of background in politics and all of that, a lot of organization on my campus and everything, but I'm graduated and I'm ready to move into, big girl job. I'm really excited. And yeah, that's my thing. I'm sure I'll need help with a lot just because I'm a fresh face, but yeah.
Awesome. Welcome. And Haley is another new intern on the State Campaigns Team. Haley, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Haley. Pronouns are she, her, hers. I believe I'm on the same team with Heather. So similar role. We're both basically working towards community engagement in state fiscal policy issues. And favorite part, I also just started, so I'd say my favorite part so far has just been meeting everyone and coalescing around people with the same mission goals in mind. And something I love help with, I think I'll relate that back to what Amanda was saying with avoiding virtual burnout, I think is something we could all use help on.
Definitely. All right, Alicia, you want to introduce yourself and then you can pass it around the rest of the State Campaigns Team?
Yeah, and normally I'm much more jokey and happy, but I'm sick. But I didn't want to miss this, so I came really bad. But my name's Alicia. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I work at the center. I'm a peer deputy with Deborah. And I guess so far my job has been playing support to all of you, which has been really great because my background is in organizing and it's like my soul work and I love, love, love to do it. And my voice does not sound like this normally. This is sick. I do not sound like Toni Braxton. I cannot sing. Don't get any ideas. It's just really raspy right now. And the only thing I need help with is getting to do more organizing work. So if there's anything that you want to soundboard with or have thoughts on, or I do appreciate Amanda's point about, virtual burnout and how to stay creative in this really taxing, trying time. I'm down to chat because I, like Amanda, like starting trouble, dismantling bad things. and doing all the really exciting work that you all get to do on a daily basis. So I'm really happy to be here, and thank you, Deborah, for hosting the space. And then I think right from David. So is it Diamata? Have you gone yet, sweet? Yeah, cool.
Hi, everyone. My name is Xiomara Santos. I am actually the newest member of the campaign team here at the center. And so part of my role, I help Deborah a lot with our federal COVID advocacy work, and that has been a roller coaster, but it has been has been lots. It has been a really good experience. And let's see, one of my favorite things, I guess it would be bothering David when I have problems with Google Sheets. I do that pretty often. But no, but on a serious note, one of my favorite things so far has been I like seeing how our federal work comes into play, like when we help with our messaging. We do a lot of, David and I do a lot of like media and earned media tracking. So I really enjoy when I see articles that mention SPP groups or like messaging that sounds very familiar. And then I'll go to Monica.
Hello, everyone. And I apologize. I just got back on. I am in Mississippi, where we have a lot of rural area, and I have been freezing. So I know that we was doing introductions and telling who we are. Is that correct? Before I got off?
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Once again, I am Monica. I am program manager with One Voice here in Mississippi. And some of the work that I do is lead the voting rights piece as well as community organizing. And what I like the most about it is empowering the community, letting them know that they hold the power and they are the ones who make their community better, and just educating them on how they can do this and what they need to do. It's really it makes me happy to see that when they learn that I can do this, I can do that, and take like recently we are in the census mode where we have been organizing around that and getting an account going, as well as following behind that. We know we have an elections coming up, so we're working on voter registration, and it's kind of hard doing things with the pandemic and working around it. But however, where there's a will, there is a way. So we're always trying to find a way to encourage people to do things, and following that, we'll be going straight into the redistricting piece. So all this ties in together, but knowing that they have the power, that they think that the power comes from the elected officials when they are actually the one who holds the power. And that gives great joy in doing that and moving Mississippi forward. I heard someone earlier say that Georgia's always last or something. I think that we got you beat. And with that, I pass.
All right. Welcome, Monica. I'm going to pass it to Ali, who I don't think has introduced himself. And then we've got Bernie, too, who can go next.
Yeah. Hi, all. My name is Ali. I work at the Center on Budget with our TANF team. So, yes, I am very aware of Mississippi's problems. I think about it often. But yes, very excited. We do a lot of work trying to make TANF, which is a really, like, don't know about TANF, look it up. You'll get very angry very fast. But trying to make it better in the state.
Bernie?
Yeah, hi, I'm Bernie Egan-Pez, and I'm the Data and Campaigns Manager. And so I have a background in organizing and campaign technology. I manage our voter file and our relationship with the Movement Cooperative, which you'll, I think, hear about in other sessions, connecting people with data and targeting and different campaign technologies, and work together with David to make sure folks have targeting lists to work with and kind of different reporting deliverables.
Cool. I think that's everyone. Is there anyone that we missed who didn't get to introduce themselves? And I was messaging with Emily. Apparently her internet like totally crashed. She's trying to restart her router. So she might be able to rejoin us, but if not today, I know will have other opportunities later today or tomorrow to get to know her. So we have about 15 minutes left, and then I did just check the agenda. There is another DJ break with DJ Omi after this. So can look forward to that. And I don't know when that starts, but I am not going to stand in the way of that music break if you guys want to end here a few minutes early. But I think, just want to echo what I hope has come throughout this session, that like we're so excited that you all have joined your organizations, whether you joined 9 months ago, 9 weeks ago, 9 days ago, or it's your first or second day. And all of us on the state campaigns team are here for you as thought partners, as resources, to help with the data stuff that, which you'll hear a little bit more about some of the campaign tools that are available in the session tomorrow afternoon. And then everybody else in the network who Davante is kind of representative of right now today is also super excited to welcome you into the fold of outreach and campaign staffers, and is here for you as a resource as well. With the time that we have left, if anybody heard something that they really want to talk more about, or has a question that they really want to get out, I just open the floor, and that includes for any of my colleagues on the state campaigns team who want to say anything else, any other words of welcome, questions, comments. Everyone feeling a little zoomed out today? It's real.
I can go with a question. Have you all seen, I imagine that the messaging and the frequency of communication and advocacy strategy
Danny, I think you might have frozen again. I heard something about the messaging and frequency of communications, and then I don't know if it broke off for everybody else. Yeah, I see some nods. If you can hear me, Danny, do you want to maybe type your question in the chat? All right. Anybody else have a question or a comment? I think Danny's going to try to rejoin. I'm on the edge of my seat now. I really want to know the end of the sentence.
I'll go, Deborah. I'll just say for all of the new staffers, please feel free to reach out to myself and Jacob on the Outreach Advisory Committee. We do a lot of peer sharing. One thing you'll learn kind of the outreach team, especially not only with the center, but individually, like we are constantly emailing each other or asking questions, our thoughts about how to do things. How did you do anything? I know we study each other's states. Like I've talked to Amanda a bunch of times about things in Georgia and vice versa. So just wanted to offer that so you can know that it's a very welcoming space. Any committee member, and then if you don't know a state that has done something that you're interested in, you can also reach out to us, and we may know that answer, and then they'd be able to connect you with another staffer in the network. So I just wanted to show that it's really a peer-to-peer committee that is really focused on just making sure we are sharing and learning from each other. And so I just wanted to offer that up. I'll drop my email in the chat, and it's on the loop as well, and I'll help. And I know Jacob, my colleague from New Mexico, we're always engaged in looking at ways that the committee can make sure we're giving you all the tools and items that you need. So I took a list down of some of the things that you asked for, and I'll definitely bring it up in our next committee meeting to see about putting our resources together or something like that. So I just wanted to offer that up while we were waiting for some questions.
Thanks, Davante. So I know Danny is back. I don't know if you want to type your question in the chat maybe. Okay, cool. All right, we'll wait for it. If anyone else has a question or a comment that they want to throw in, feel free to go ahead. Well, I'll just restate. So right before this, and Amanda and Megan heard this, I was in a session with 3 folks who went to new staff training last year. So kind of like their reflections and advice. And there was a lot of, what's been shared here about, reaching out to people, like don't be afraid to ask for help among the network and the Center on Budget team. But also there was this really great theme that just kept coming up where people talked about like being kind to yourself and being patient with yourself and giving yourself grace. And I think that's also just important to remember, especially for those of you who are like just getting started and like frankly might be overwhelmed with all of the information that you're getting and all of the people that you're meeting and all of the acronyms that you're hearing, and trying to make sense of all of it. And so I think those are also just things that maybe as you get to the end of day 1 of new staff training to take with you. So I'm happy to stay on, and I'm sure other folks from the center team might be able to say, oh, okay, here's our question, Danny, awesome. I imagine that most organizations have adjusted the messaging and frequency of their outreach strategies. Would like to know whether the trend has been to strengthen communication and outreach since the virtual world allows that, or to scale back since the virtual space is more saturated than ever. I think it's a good question. And honestly, I just open it up to everybody. For those of you who have been at your organization, if you have been at your organization for a little bit, Davante, also, if you want to speak to this about, have you found that your communication and outreach strategies have gotten stronger, or have you had to scale back since there's just so much happening?
I would say for us, particularly at the Budget Project, we have gotten a lot stronger. We weren't big using digital as much. So we have found having these Facebook Lives, like we did one with the Center for Popular Democracy. We partnered up with our local LSU, the flagship institution, and hosted a series on COVID and race and what that meant. And we've started to see a lot more engagement. I know our Twitter followers and our Facebook followers have gone up. So we haven't oversaturated these Zooms. So a lot of things what we like to do is do Facebook Live, because then people can come back and watch them at their own pace. And it's not necessarily at 5 o'clock on Thursday. It's like if you are up at 2 a.m. on Friday and you want to watch it, you can watch it. So we've become big fans of using Facebook Live, but also making sure that they're not as structured. So a lot of the things that we have done when we've done these virtual events have been more conversational. So they're not like a webinar. They're not necessarily with a presentation or a PowerPoint. It's normally just kind of conversational, and that seems to have had a lot more engagement because people are really engaged with trying to get information that was a little bit less formal. So I think it's just playing with them and using them in different ways to really make a difference.
I agree. I've ramped up our communications and on our outreach. We've ramped up all of our communications, but I specifically ramped it up for outreach, which were more like intentional listening sessions from groups who are not our traditional partners. So crashing a lot of United Way calls to direct service partners that they fund around the state, and understanding like what people are seeing on the ground. I've also been crashing a lot of Facebook groups where they're complaining about the state of Georgia, and that's been amazing. So like to go into the Department of Labor for Georgia's Facebook group and see 4,000 people posting their conversations with the administration or their conversations where they're being denied, further just proving what we've known and what we've talked about, but being able to reach back and post like we now have a intentional share your story on our website, and we're actually promoting it. So I've been just sharing that in Facebook groups and amongst listservs that I know, and I'm like, bring that now. Like, we need to have that conversation now, but also making sure that I'm getting positive feedback as well as negative, but not the positive in the slant that supports like shitty policy. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're in a space where that is totally fine.
But positive of like people making do in this moment, but they could do a whole lot better with revenue streams and revised codes and all that kind of stuff. So I think you don't have to over communicate, but you need to over listen in this moment and really get as much information as you can, get more allies going in early to whatever your session is. And you would be surprised that the easiest way to form a partnership with someone who's non-traditional that comes with you is just listening to them and taking that back to your analysts and even connecting them virtually and having them listen. But I know, like, if someone asks me to speak or they ask our analysts to speak, we're now asking, do you need a PowerPoint? Because we'd much rather have a conversation and just see where people are. But yes, what Davante said, a lot of Facebook Lives. We've done an Instagram Live with our college partner, which was really cool. And then just a lot more direct communication on Twitter. Usually we save that to session, but now we're just adding them now. Just being like, this sucks, thank you. Or like pinging the administration of the department that's responsible and being like, can you do something about this, please?
Yeah. Are you saying like directly at legislators? No.
Yeah, or we'll watch them retweet us and then they'll decide to engage in that community. So in that conversation, and not staying away from the conversation, but leaning into it, right? So, and just answering their questions in real time if we can. But yeah, but I think if you can get as much information from people as possible and listen, it is going to help do like that hard lift later when you're really trying to find those things that like are connecting to what you think the theory is right or what you know needs to be changed. And it builds a level of trust early on that these people show up for you for the fight later, right? So like we were doing I would say this is the best thing I changed a little. I was like, we were doing these one-offs with HBCUs and NPHCs, so historically Black colleges, non-Panhellenic, but we would invite them for a last minute like gathering at the Capitol. And I was like, no, we need to do 3 months of meetings with them. A meeting a month, sharing, intentionally having a conversation, listening to what they're saying, retweeting whatever they're sharing on social media so they understand that we're an ally. And so when we call on them, it's not a lift for them. It's just like, oh, this makes sense because they are fighting for us too. So take this time to listen and build those relationships because everyone is available somehow.
Well, thank you, Amanda and Davante, especially for sharing. And Danny, thanks for the great question. I think that was also just like a great microcosm basically for how like, use the loop to pose these questions and people will respond or like reach out directly and just ask people questions and just know that like this community is here for you. And like, if you're wondering something, probably somebody else, excuse me, is wondering that as well. So with that, it is 4:15 Eastern. It is time for your music break. And then for the last session of the day, just thank you all again for being here and look forward to getting to know you over the course of the next 2 days. Bye, everyone. Everything's back in the Whova app, by the way. So you just leave Ring Central and you go back to Whova.
Good to meet you guys.
Take care. Thank you all. Good to meet you.